yesterday, comicbook.com interviewed Joe Manganiello, Deathstroke himself, just in general about the Snyder Cut and things like that, but he dropped a big bombshell that got me really mad. He told us more about Ben Affleck's Batman script, and the more I hear about Ben Affleck's Batman script, the more I hate DC and Warner Bros. And what they did the last few years, because that script just sounds completely insane. But he talked about how his character Deathstroke would be like a shark to Batman, like Jaws, always around, and Batman would be very much scared of Deathstroke because he was probably faster than him, he could match him every single move, and he was always there. But there's one scene that Joe Manganiello described. It's where Ben Affleck's Batman and Deathstroke are fighting in the streets of Gotham, but Batgirl shows up to help Batman. Like, how cool would that been? So, Ben Affleck's Batman was setting up a Batgirl in his universe. You would have your Commissioner Gordon, your Alfred, but Batgirl would also be there. We know from the storyboards that Zack Snyder had that Batgirl, that, Commissioner Gordon's daughter, Barbara Gordon, would become the Commissioner of Gotham in the future. So that's pretty cool. We also would have had Batgirl in the Batman solo movie. So that movie just sounds completely insane, and it got me very annoyed and very mad we won't get to see it, but maybe in some capacity on HBO Max, if the Snyderverse is restored, we can see it eventually, hopefully, if Ben Affleck wants to come back. But here's an interesting interview with E.T. Joel Manganiello on suiting up as Deathstroke again for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Now, this is by John Boone. It was published at 1:50 p.m. March 24th, 2021. So let's get into this and see what Joe had to say. Joel Manganiello was never meant to be in Justice League, not the version released in theaters in 2017, nor the original vision that became Zack Snyder's Justice League. A lot of people don't realize I actually wasn't technically a part of the original Justice League, he tells E.T. I was cast in Ben Affleck's Batman to play the villain, and we shot a scene to tease our mashup that was going to appear at the end of the film. When Affleck was set to direct and star in his own standalone film, he tapped Manganiello to play DC's deadliest assassin, Deathstroke. The scene he shot saw the actor suited up as Deathstroke and meeting with Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, who revealed to him Bruce Wayne's secret identity. Now, that movie did not happen, Manganiello explains. Affleck dropped out and the project became Robert Pattinson's The Batman. Once Batman got cancelled, I kind of wrote it off and thought, this is over. Yeah, I had actually shifted gears and started working with the studio on an origin film for Deathstroke. Manganiello linked up with director Gareth Evans, who I am a huge fan of. He says, I worship at the altar of Gareth Evans. To get that project off the ground, he wanted to shoot an origin film for Deathstroke with me in the ear of the Raid. It was its own separate story, so it isn't necessarily a part of that universe. It was its own separate part. That also didn't happen, so I just let it go. And 2 weeks before Justice League came out theatrically, I got a call from one of the executives who said, oh, by the way, we retooled the scene. It's back in at the end to advertise a Justice League 2 movie. He recalls with a chuckle. I said, you could have told me. Afterward, Manganiello, Deathstroke, was positioned as the main villain in multiple different versions of the Suicide Squad sequel, which didn't happen, he laughs. There's a trend here. But then, in 2020, Warner Media announced that it would be releasing the so-called Snyder Cut. With Snyder returning to complete Justice League as he always intended, that included restoring Deathstroke and Lex's original scene, though Snyder had bigger plans for the former. In the interim, Snyder had cast Manganiello in an animated prequel series for his Netflix movie Army of the Dead. Zack and I were working on that, Manganiello explains, and he said, hey, I have this other thing that might be going on. Would you want to play Deathstroke again? It was this call out of nowhere, 4.5 years later, asking me if I wanted to put the suit back on. I said yes, but I've had a lot of time to think about the character. There's a few things that I would like to do, namely the mohawk, he says. As an actor, you want to put your own stink on things. When you look at what Tom Hardy got to do with Bane, that was a very unique take on that character, or Heath Ledger's Joker was unique to him. I had ideas and things that I wanted to do with Deathstroke, and although I would appear briefly in this new version, I wanted to start placing those things in case. In the new sequence shot exclusively for Zack Snyder's Justice League, Manganiello, katana-wielding mercenary ex-peers, yes, with a mohawk, alongside Ben Affleck's Batman and Jared Leto's Joker, as they take on villainous Superman in an apocalyptic nightmare sequence. Now I'm actually, technically, a part of Zack Snyderverse, the actor says. As for what comes next for Deathstroke, unfortunately, I don't own the IP, Manganiello Dead Pants, but I think fans' appetites are whetted for more. They want more. In the meantime, Manganiello can be seen in the indie film Shoplifters of the World, a passion project for the actor in which he plays a radio DJ, Full Metal Mickey, who was held at gunpoint after the Smiths break up and is forced to play the band's music all night, which my character hates, he says, but I love in real life. Zack Snyder's Justice League is now streaming on HBO Max. Shoplifters of the World in theaters and on demand March 26th. Yeah, so there you go, pretty cool. Joe Manganiello has been up and down with the character of Deathstroke. He's been for years trying to get some sort of origin story or movie or series greenlit with Garrett Evans, the director of the Raid films, which are pretty good and the action sequences are badass and that. So that would have been cool to see. He was supposed to do Ben Affleck's Batman movie, be the villain in that. He was supposed to appear in maybe a different variation of the Suicide Squad film that was probably going to be directed by Gavin O'Connor, the same director that directed Ben Affleck in The Accountant and The Way Back. That's a movie that I was very much looking forward to because Black Adam was supposed to be the villain of that movie, but it never happened. Suicide Squad's coming out later this year. But yeah, and then he was doing the animated project Army of the Dead with Zack, and Zack just turns to him and goes, hey, do you want to sit up again? Maybe I'm doing something else. Deathstroke, you want to do it? Yeah. And so I'm glad that Joe Manganiello got to appear as Deathstroke again. He got to appear in the 2017 version, which actually was a pretty good scene. It was fine, but the real version of that scene was in Zack Snyder's Justice League. We also got to see a little bit more of him in the Nightmare sequence, which I think was pretty cool. So I'd love to see Joe Manganiello reprise the role of Deathstroke again in future projects. Hopefully, I think it'll be awesome. Maybe on HBO Max. I don't see why they can't get this project off the ground on HBO Max. A series, limited series, 4 or 5 episodes, a mini movie, 90 minutes or 100 minutes of a movie, just to show Deathstroke a backstory. You know, I've heard Joe Manganiello be very passionate about this character for a very long time, and he put a lot of thought into the script and to the director and all that kind of stuff. So why not? Just give it to us. I think it would be cool. A one-off, its own separate thing, its own separate universe. It doesn't have to relate to Zack Snyder's Justice League or Ben Affleck's Batman. They can just tell an interesting story. He's passionate about it. He obviously had a great director lined up for it. He had a script lined up for it. So why not just give it to him and let him do it? You know, it wouldn't cost that much. You know, Joker, what was 55 million, 50 million of a budget? That cracked $1 billion. Deathstroke series or movie, what would it be? 40 million or less? That could make money for HBO Max new subscribers and stuff like that. So why not? I hope it's a big possibility. I hope it happens. But it's interesting to hear Joe Manganiello have his up and downs with the character. And very much Zack Snyder came in. And not only was Zack Snyder getting his redemption for Zack Snyder's Justice League, but he gave redemption to Jared Leto's Joker and to Ezra Miller, to Cyborg, Ray Fisher, and now Joe Manganiello. So I think that's absolutely brilliant from Zack, and I'm glad that Joe got to put the mohawk on and shoot a few scenes with Batman and Joker in the background, which was pretty awesome, I thought, and with Lex Luthor. So hopefully in the future we see more of that character. But guys, what was your thoughts on this from Joe Manganiello about the ups and downs of Deathstroke? And of course, Batgirl was supposed to appear in Ben Affleck's Batman script. Damn. Maybe a comic book run someday, that Ben Affleck script, or maybe Ben Affleck can make it himself. Let's all cross our fingers. But guys, give a like, comment, subscribe, come follow me on all the social medias. That stuff is in the end credits. I'll catch you in the next one, and stay positive. You never know what could happen. 4 or 5 years ago, he thought it was dead, he thought it was gone, but they got to appear again this year in Zack Snyder's Justice League. You never know what the future may hold. Get tweeting if you wanted. Tweet at Jason Killar, HBO Max, and you never know what life could bring you. Thanks for watching, guys.